Hello everybody, today we're talking about my best reads of 2024. Hey everybody, editing Sophie right here. Sorry about the lights, I still have my Christmas lights on. So this is part 2 of the best books of 2024, all my 5 stars, all the recs that I'm giving you. So I'm gonna continue with the recs. I had to do it in 2 parts because the video was too long and it was not exporting. So here I go. I'm continuing with the rest of the recs. The next one that I read was Please Don't Laugh at Me. I was in my Regency era and I read Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. I had not read any Bridgerton books, but season 4 was coming out. Season 3 was coming out, which is book 4. I am a Penelope stan. I love Penelope. I love Nicola Coughlan. Whatever she does, I will be watching. And I wanted to read the book. And I do like the trope friends to lovers. I know a lot of people don't like it. Most people don't like it. I don't like enemies to lovers. I don't get it. Friends to lovers is my thing. And I love this book. I did. I'm sorry. There are things that I don't like, sure. Is it fun? Yes. Is it life-changing, good literature, like Nobel Peace Prize type? No. It's just fun. It's just a fun book. So for what it is, it's a lot of fun. I gave it 5 stars. It made me laugh. It made me be like, what's going on? Oh my god. Like all those things that you want a romance to give you, like the excitement and all that. That's what it did, and that's what it's supposed to do. Nothing more, nothing less. So just because of that, I gave it 5 stars. And then I read Romancing Her Rival, which is another really, really short book. This is like clean romance. If you guys don't like reading Bridgerton because it's like too spicy or whatever, there's like this thing called clean romance. So this is also like a series of friends. So I think it's really cute. It's like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but with a bracelet. So there's this like 5 friends who went to like a boarding school together, and then they share a bracelet and they send it to each other whenever one of them is in like peril or something. And this is a book that I found on a little library and I really liked it, and I am wanting to buy the other ones. I think they're on Amazon or I don't know where, but yeah, I think they're over there. And yeah, I thought it was really sweet and really cute, super short. It's like this thin. And I think it was a lot of fun. Again, exactly what Regency romance books are supposed to be doing. This is a story of 2 childhood friends. He is the son of the keeper of the house. She is the niece of the owner of the house, a great lady. Her parents are not all that great with money. They don't have a lot of inheritance. They pretty much lost it all. And she is to inherit her aunt estate, but she decides to leave everything. She hasn't died yet, but she says that when she does, she is gonna name the son of the keeper of the state what is it called? He's gonna inherit everything. So she's very upset. She feels betrayed by the friend. She cannot necessarily feel betrayed by the aunt. She thinks that he is taking advantage of her, that he somehow tricked her, and she goes to the estate to see what she can do about it. But obviously he's been in love with her since childhood, and she is just too stubborn and scared and freaked out because if you don't have money in Regency era and you're a woman, you are in big trouble. So she's freaking out. So yeah, that's the story. So I liked it. I gave it 5 stars. Then for Summer Ween, we're already in like the summer. I read Mexican Gothic. This is by Silvia Moreno Garcia, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. And this is the story of a girl who lives in Mexico City, and one day receives a letter from her cousin who was married just a few months earlier to this Englishman who lives in a small town in another state of Mexico. And she is saying that she's going crazy, something's wrong, that the house is like haunting her, that something is wrong. Please come and get her and help her. And the father of the or and the uncle of the cousin says, you know what, you go rescue your cousin, I'll stay right here, you girls figure it out. Like, good. Good uncle. So that these poor girls goes to like the small town, this like gothic mansion in a small town in Mexico. This is like a mining town that these English people took over. Makes sense that the house is like a gothic English house, and because colonizing, and so she goes there, and yeah, definitely weird things are going on, very magical realism, very spiritual things are going on. The earth remembers, the spirits remember, and they know what colonizers do. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you like all that, if you got like magical realism, if you like all that maybe revenge stories, yeah, I think that would be good for you. And women kicking ass, yeah, that would be a good story for you. So that's Mexican Gothic. Then I read A Thousand Splendid Suns. A Thousand Splendid Suns is by Khaled Husseini, and this is a story about two women of different generations who have been dealt horrible cards in life. They are from Afghanistan, and one of them, the first story starts when one of them is a small girl, and she lives like in the outskirts of the city, and she lives with her mother. Her mother is very awful to her. She sees her father once in a while. She doesn't understand why they cannot all live together as a family. And one day when she's a bit older, she decides that like a teenager, she decides that she wants to go find her father. She dies to find him, but realizes that he has another family. And in order to not like bring disgrace to the actual family, they decide to marry her off. And they marry her off to this old man, because that's what they do. And they obviously it is told us if they offer her protection and he's gonna protect her and all that, but she is barely like, she's a teenager, right? So please check trigger warnings and all that. And she has a life with this man. She obviously is not doesn't want to do that, but there's like no other choice, and she is forced into that. And then years later, there is a girl who is in a similar situation, so she decides to help her out, and then the old man decides to take her in as a second wife, and she is incredibly upset, incredibly betrayed, and also incredibly saddened that this girl has to go through the same thing that she has to go through. And this is just a story about how men treat women, or have been treating women, or the way these men in particular, because not everybody is the same. There's a few men in this book who are really trying to be better, do better in this story, but how society really accepts all this, and how these women have to fend for themselves and look for a better future for themselves. I'm gonna tell you, not the ending, but at the end, it feels like there is a better outcome for them, or for some of them. However, because this is very grounded in reality, you see what happens, you see what's happening in 9/11. kind of historical fiction. So you see what's happening in 9/11. You see as time goes by, different wars, different things going on in Afghanistan, what is going on in the country. You can kind of also learn a lot about the country's history. And then at the end, you kind of feel like, oh, things are there's progress going on in the country. Women are going to school, stuff like that. And then your heart just breaks because you know what happens in the early 2020s, and how all of that has been undone. And yeah, it's just so sad, so sad. So anyway, that is A Thousand Splendid Suns. But I think it is important for people to read it and understand it and understand the culture. And yeah, maybe when you see the news and you see what's going on, you'll understand a bit better if you read a book like this, like A Thousand Splendid Suns. Maybe it'll hit home a little bit more. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I think it's an important read. Okay, and then I read Six of Crows. So Six of Crows is a fantasy. This is a Leigh Bardugo story from the world of the Grishaverse, from Shadow and Bone. And this is a story about a group of robbers, miscreants, assassins. They're on a heist. These people are on a heist. They won something and they're out to get it. They form a team, and it's all the shenanigans they're going through, but also the way the politics works, how the system works, how the system is there to fail poor people, how they have no other choice. By the way, these are all teenagers, or they're supposed to be teenagers, and they are ruthless and spineless, and they are surviving horrible things, but because it is a fantasy, you can kind of code it, I guess, in this fogginess of not reality. But if you strip all that out, like down, and you can see like this is really about poverty and people in power and what people have to do to survive. It is incredibly also tough, but because it is a fantasy, you kind of forget a little bit about it, but it's still, there's still, check those trigger warnings. So this is Six of Crows, and then there's Crooked Kingdom. So that's the duology. I read both of them. I just have Six of Crows here. I gave it 5 stars. And then I read also, I think it was in my heavy reading area, because I read This Is Me Trying. This was for my reading Taylor Swift books, which is books that have the same title as Taylor Swift songs. And this is about 2 teenagers who are suffering from, again, check trigger warnings, depression and all kinds of things. One of their friends passed away. They unalived themselves, and they are dealing with that, what it means for them, for their friendship, how are they dealing with their own emotions and their own relationship. So yeah, this was a really hard coming of age story, but also I think it's important to read if you can read it. Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur is a book of poetry about womanhood, it's about girlhood and womanhood. It can also be incredibly difficult topics that she goes through. I don't think that girlhood and womanhood all have to deal with such difficult topics. Not everyone's experience is this difficult. Mine certainly wasn't. And sometimes I do get a little exhausted of reading so many horrible stories. However, I do understand that a lot of people go through this, and it is saddening to believe that maybe the majority do go through life like this, and then maybe I'm the lucky one who didn't. So I do still think that it's important for us to read these type of books and understand and know the place where we live, the society that we live, and understand it, comprehend it, and help others, and create a better society. If we don't understand that we're living in a society like that, we cannot create a better one, because we're just living in a cloud, in a make-believe So we have to change it. If we know what we have, we is the only way that we can change it. So anyways, that is Milk and Honey. And then I read Translating Myself and Others by Jhumpa Lahiri, and I really love this book. This book is more academic. This book is very academic. It's about translating work and what does that mean, and not the literal translation of work, of storytelling, or of any type of work. Is really what translation, what the translating sentiment, translating intention, translating different things. When you're translating just the little words, the intention, the feeling, a lot of things get lost there. So yeah, this was an incredibly interesting book that I really, really love. It's definitely up my alley, because I also work a lot with languages and translations and things like that. So this was definitely one of my favorite reads of the year. Then, continuing with one of my faves, Silvia Moreno Garcia, I read Dioses de Jade y Sombra. This book is Gods of Jade and Shadow. This book is in Spanish and English. I read it in Spanish, and I loved it. This is the story of a girl who finds like a little chest, like a small chest, in her grandfather's office. She opens it one day. She gets like a splinter, and turns out that that chest contained the spirit of the god of death, and the god of death was trapped there in that small chest by his brother, and now she is in charge of trying to help him, I guess, kind of come back to life and regain his rightful place in the underworld. And yeah, so his grandfather was the servant of the brother who is now in the underworld, and she kind of has to decide if she wants to help the god who was trapped. Now she is of indigenous descent, and her grandfather and her cousin are not. They're colonizers. They are from colonizers descent, and they're all from like Yucatan, Mexico, and they have this. She's always been like treated like a servant, like less than, because her mother decided to marry someone from indigenous background, and they always felt like it was like dishonoring the family, and she was not treated well, and so it is now her time to reclaim her rightful place, and this god thinks that she is wonderful, as he should, and as she should. And yeah, it was a very interesting story, and I really liked it, and there's a twist there that I didn't quite expect, and hopefully, I mean, there could be other. I don't think Silvia Moreno Garcia does like series or anything, but there was a little space for maybe like a sequel. I don't know if maybe she'll think about that in the future, but I really liked it. I think that every teenager should read this book. I think that's a good book. Okay, and I'm almost done. 4 more books that I gave 5 stars this year. So the next one would be The Yellow Wallpaper. Now, The Yellow Wallpaper is a book written a very long time ago about a woman who is feeling not all that well, not all that good. I think she is just had a baby, I believe. And she is a little sad, depressed, possibly suffering from postpartum or something similar. Obviously, I think this was written in the 1800s. I'm not sure. This is by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. And this book is the story of this woman who, because she's feeling a little depressed, because of the time when it's written, is they're not telling you exactly what it is. We can now call it like depression or postpartum depression. I'm gonna just call it depression, because she is depressed, and they don't understand what it is. Her husband, who is a doctor, by the way, keep that in mind, decides that it's the best thing for her is to move to the country with her, put her in a room with yellow wallpaper, and keep her there for days on end. He doesn't let her leave the room. She doesn't go outside. She's not able to do anything. He just keeps her there. And she, he thinks that by her resting, she'll be better. But because she's depressed and she's hidden in a room with yellow wallpaper all day long, she is more and more and more depressed. She is getting more and more saddened. She starts seeing things in the yellow wallpaper. That guy keeps gaslighting her. She keeps telling him, please let me go out to the garden, at least let me get some fresh air. And he's like, nope, nope, no, you need to stay in here, you need to stay in here, I'm the doctor, I know better. Like, this guy was so frustrating. So it is incredibly short book. You can read it in an hour. The audiobook is exactly an hour. And it was just incredibly frustrating, and the gaslighting that was going on in there, like, for me, it's incredibly frustrating because it's not like she doesn't know what she needs or what she wants. Like, she's asking you, I need to go outside. Let her go outside. Like, what's the harm? Let her go outside. So it's just this control, like this need to control people. And in this case, obviously, it's an old book, but I think that one of the problems with humanity is exactly that. I need to control everybody else's, like, business. Like, why do we feel like we need to do that? Let people be. Anyways, then this book's so short but made me so mad, and it was a 5-star, obviously. Okay, and then my last 3 5 stars, and 2 of them are reads from November, 1 of them is from December. So one of them is Moon of the Turning Leaves. This is a sequel to Moon of the Crusted Snow, and this is a sci-fi apocalyptic dystopian book about a world where electricity power has gone away. We don't know what happened, but what the story is told by the people who live in a reservation, a Native American reservation. They live there. They realize that something happened in the first book, and then they're surviving in the reservation because they have the knowledge, the tools, the knowledge of the earth and nature in order to survive. But obviously, a white man comes to the reservation. They want to, or he wants to, I think they were a couple, I don't remember well. They want to do things however they want to do them, and things don't end up well. In the second book, we are a couple of years later, maybe like 10 years later, and they have been living there for a while, but they understand that it's time for them to maybe look for other survivors, maybe from their tribe, maybe from other tribes. So some of them make the journey to look for others, and in the meantime, they encounter others who are not necessarily from their tribe, and what does that mean, what will happen to them, and all that. So yeah, I think it's just a lesson about humanity, about who people really are to their core. And even if you take anything away or everything away and you strip all that down, some people are just who they are, and bigotry and hatred is always gonna be there. And same thing, control. People wanting others to do what they say, how they say it, because they said so. And that is just so sad. That need for control and to be the one who gets to be on top and control everyone else. That ego talking, because it's just ego. There's nothing else there. So yeah, that's an interesting book. 5 stars read. Super important. Yeah, I think you should read it. Then I read The Truth According to Ember, which is a romance book about a girl who is just trying to get a job, trying to do better in life. She's almost done with her degree in accounting, but she had to stop school because of something that happened. I don't want to spoil it. So she gets a job. She says that she already finished her degree, and she gets like an entry-level job at a company, but turn of events, they give her like a better offering, better salary, thinking that she's already experienced and all that, and all she's trying to do is make a little bit of money so she can go back to school and get her degree. So she sees no harm in that, and the lies kind of just snowball. That's why it's called The Truth According to Amber. She also finds like a cutie who works in an office, who she kind of starts dating, which is also a problem because office romance against policies. So it's a whole mess, but it was a fun mess, and I really liked it. Was one of the Goodreads romance debut nominees. So yeah, I really like that one. So I'm not a fan of contemporary romance, and I was definitely a fan of this one, so definitely read it. And my last read of 2024, and also a 5-star read, was Braiding Sweetgrass, which is a book that is nonfiction, and it's definitely a book that you have to take slowly, and you have to really take in all the information. It gives you a lot of information on Native American history, Native American traditions, Native American social, economic history, politics, if you there, different things, the way they their culture works, the way they have different tribes, and the way they have been treated for centuries, the way the schooling system work or didn't work for them, different types, but they're all told not in an academic way. They're all told integrated into stories about mundane things. So she might start telling a story about, I don't know, maybe going to school and how she went to X, Y, and Z university, and then that's how you get to know about the schooling system or different things. Or maybe she's talking about going to a powwow, and that's how you get to know about certain traditions. Or maybe she's talking about different sellers at markets, and then that's how you know about certain commerce or different things. So yeah, there's different things there's so much that you can learn, and the way that she presents all the information is so digestible, but there is a lot. So that's why I'll say take it slowly. That the last 2 weeks of December, that's all I did, just listen to this book very slowly, because I wanted to take in everything. There is a lot of information in there, and I think I'm gonna reread it because, again, there's so much information. It's a wealth of knowledge, and I think it's super important for everybody to read it, to know it, to just have it in their knowledge, in their brain, all that information. I think it's super important. So that is Braiding Sweetgrass, and I gave it 5 stars. Yeah, those are all my 5-star books of the year. Let me know if you have read any of them. Let me know if you have read all of them. I've been talking for like an hour just about these books. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this because it has to go down to like 30 minutes. So let me know if you, again, have read any of these books. Write it down in the comments. If you want to add any of these to your 2025 TBR, go ahead. It's highly recommended, from very, very fun books to very informative books to very inspiring books. Also, remember that down there in the description, you have all the ways that you can support this channel and all the ways that we can connect on social media and other places. I would really appreciate it. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And also, you can subscribe if you're here. Why don't you just go ahead and subscribe, and we can see each other more often. Also, ring that bell so you can get notified every time I upload a video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you liked all of these books, all of these recommendations, and did you grab one of them and read it for 2025. Remember to keep reading and keep blooming, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.